Are best of ones really over? Is it finally time for us to come out of hiding and enjoy best of threes again? Oh my god! Life suddenly feels worth living again. But not seriously, I ain't never going back. Ever. Never, ever, 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 ever again.
Into the paint! Into the paint! Everyone get in here!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to The Pit, your weekly series covering all the headlines around North America. Now that we have wrapped up the beginning of the week, we can look forward to the weekend ahead and some of the storylines that have kind of happened over the last 3 or 4 days. Of which we got some really fun and thoughtful ones that we'll get into a little bit later. But first, in honor of the NFL draft happening this weekend, I want to take a quick moment to think through if we were to just force everybody to restart this whole thing. So say we go into the LTA next year and they're like, hey, all contracts are null and void. We're having a draft right now. Not fantasy, nothing else, just purely, hey, all the people that are currently in the ecosystem are going to be drafted to a new team, and the worst team in the league is starting off. Who do you pick? Now, the biggest difference between us and the NFL is the salary cap and the amount of money that teams have. So, for example, as of right now, Disguise would have the #1 overall pick in the draft, and we get to pick whoever they want, which in theory means that you just sign a rookie to a max rookie deal, and that's fine. But the reality is that's probably still more than what Disguise is actually paying their teams at this current, or their players at this current moment. It's not like they're made of money. If TL had the first pick of the draft and they could pick whoever they wanted, obviously, they got the budget. They can do whatever they want. So you have to kind of think through, who can this org realistically get without bankrupting themselves, but also still sign deals? Is it still worth it to take that top player if they can't really afford them? To which I would say the #1 overall draft pick that I think that they could get that's not breaking the bank would probably actually be Quid. Granted, he'd be on basically an extended rookie deal, which is kind of what he was on in the first place. So he's a little bit cheaper, but I think you're getting the most bang for your buck without breaking the bank. Because the other picks that I'd be looking at in terms of 1, 2, 3, it would have to be inspired. It would have to be one of Sven, Masu, Jan if you're looking at ADC and support. I think you go either Core JJ, or even if you want to invest in some younger talent, you go with somebody like Busio. I doubt Logan. It's weird to think that there's really nobody in the LTA barring probably Blabber, Inspired, Blippo, Impact, Core JJ. Am I missing anybody else? I don't think I am. Those are really the only people who are probably on max LTA deals or max North American deals. And the value of those players is not what it once was. Because I remember when we were having this conversation a year or 2 ago, or even 3 years ago, it was okay, the top players are worth $1 million. None of these players are getting $1 million. There's no way. The mean is closer to the minimum salary required by the LTA of $75K than it probably ever has been before. But okay, so to round it out, so Quid at 1 for Disguise, because I think that's who they can afford. At 2 would be Dignitas. They might be able to afford a little bit more given the money and structure they have as an organization. They've just not been able to get people to sign them. They, I think, can go for Inspired or go for one of the big names, depending on the role that they see more important. Shopify, same thing. I think they ball out for a big name in the space. I think they go for Yawn or maybe even Loki at the moment. I'm not sure how much Loki's deal would be. But my end point in saying all this and trying to think through this draft exercise of the first 3 was the realization that we're no longer in this era where there are 3 clear superstars that you build your franchise around. I don't think outside of Inspired, there are many players in this league that the second you sign them, it's our franchise is saved forever. I don't think we're in that era anymore, which is a really interesting situation to think through. But man, do I wish a draft was actually in League of Legends and rookies actually went through a draft process, but I know that's not possible given how the regions are set up. Anyways, let's go to previewing the matchups this week and our LTA fantasy update.
I ain't even gonna lie to you. Last week's matchup straight up pissed me off. The week that I decided to go with Yawn and take that investment and on him and Team Liquid, they dropped the ball so freaking hard this past week. And it's oh, come on now. And the worst part is the strategy that worked out for so many people in fantasy is quite simply to put all of your points, if you can, on a winning team, because the way points are distributed really doesn't there should be in my mind a way that you only should be able to pick 1 or 2 people from a team, or realistically 1 or 2 people from a team should get the majority of the points. It's not everybody doing well on your team should mean that you're automatically great. If I'm likening this to professional football, it's very rare that your offense has both insane rushing and insane passing numbers at the same time. Like if somebody's having an extraordinary game, it's like a point leader in fantasy for your team. It's typically like either a running back or a quarterback or a receiver, like a quarterback receiver combo. Like fine, but it's rarely all three of them at the same time leading the league. So it's weird to me that like LTA fantasy rewards that to a certain extent, but here we are. So going into the matchups this week, everybody and their damn mother is going to be putting their money on C9 because they played Disguised. And the other matchups are all incredibly close and contested. For 100 Thieves, I think most people are going to be favoring FlyQuest in this matchup, despite 100 Thieves winning the best of 3 back in Split 1. FlyQuest commandingly won the single best of 1 that they played earlier this year, in Split 2. For TL versus Lion, I don't think people want to touch TL with a 10-foot pole right now, even as we do go into Fearless, which should benefit them more, and they do bounce back from the loss that they have to everybody decently well. So maybe you have some faith in TL. I'm hesitant after I've been burnt this past week, and I think that Lion does look decent. I'm not saying that Lion's going to beat them in that series. I do think TL still wins it. I think all the top 4, quote unquote, take the games that they need to. C9 is going to blow this guys out of the water. It's not even going to be close. So if you can pick up C9 players, get C9 players. And Shopify versus Dig. I mean, Shopify lost to Dignitas last time around, but I think this is a spud fight to the fullest. I'm not expecting all that much from this series other than maybe, I mean, look, if Shopify gets their stuff together, then maybe, but they've looked like a shell of themselves. But realistically, like they have the players that have won more relative to Dignitas, but Dig has young players that maybe could do something with it. Maybe Surdy does step up over Fudge in this best of 3. So with that in mind, I'm going to do the thing that everybody should be trying to do in some way, shape, or form, and that is pick up every single C9 player you can possibly get your hands on. The difference between Ayla and Vulcan is like nothing, so I'm grabbing Vulcan, put him on his Bard, maybe he'll get it again. Bot lane, Sven, actually, this is the wild part. Sven dropped points, okay? He averages 24. He's down to 21 last week because he had an incredibly difficult week. Drop point value, so more people are going to pick him up, and now he plays Disguise. There should be some weighting into who you are playing this upcoming week, but yet here I am, still picking him, still picking the Ezreal. I don't care what it does to my budget elsewhere. I only have $27 of budget left. Let's see. I'm going to pick up Thanatos. We'll give him Renekton because why not? Let's pick up Loki. I don't even know who his most played is. Let's just say Yone. Screw it. That leaves me with 2 points. Is there a single jungler? I can't even pick up a jungler for 2 points. That's tragic. The goal is now to try and get contracts. So I need to free up 6 points of value to be able to get contracts. Oh God. I mean, maybe I take a different mid. Like, is there anybody that's at like 9 points that I can take here? I mean, maybe you go like just to try and make room, like maybe Palafox. Oh God, I don't want to take Palafox. Do I keep APA? Do I have faith in Team Liquid? I mean, maybe. Sure, why not? APA, don't screw me this week, please. I've been spamming Azir. Screw it. We'll let you spam Azir again. Now, who can I pick up? I'm still sure. Okay, I got barely just enough points to pick up contracts. Fine. I'll take it. That's better than nothing. We'll give him Vi. I've maxed out on my points. Please, dear God, have a good week. So next week I can pick up all the best players on the best team like everybody else above me in the freaking standings is doing, because I promise you everybody's going to have a C9 roster. That's insane.
The final point of conversation is one that actually kind of combines 2 different figureheads, 3 figureheads in the space, technically. Emily Rand, Travis Gafford, and G-Bay, of all people. G-Bay just released a video saying how he still loves League of Legends, how it's like the peak competitive experience for him, that no game has come close to what League of Legends has offered for him in terms of individuality and the competitiveness of the game itself. To which I agree. There have been tons of games that have come out since even I got started into League, let alone the obvious inception of League over 15 plus years ago now. Nothing has come close. Nothing has been able to dethrone or give a similar feeling to what League has. Now, I know something else will eventually probably come along, but it hasn't yet. Which also then begs the question, as it relates to Travis and Emily, of like, what does a saved North America look like? we have all these discussions about how things are trending downward, how things are not in the best state for North America. But it's not like there's another competitive product and like something that kind of captures that same magic in a bottle that League had throughout the 2010s. And yeah, we're still declining in America, but still improving in Korea, for example. Europe, even though their viewership down, seems to be in a much healthier spot, especially with road shows this upcoming weekend, which are going to be phenomenal to watch. But what does a saved North America look like? Especially when I still genuinely love the game and I love everything else around this esport, even if as of right now, things are not in the best state. And for me, that answer is threefold specifically. One, I think the base game itself needs to lean back into the competitive side of things. I feel like everything's kind of geared towards the casual audience to the fullest, but not like the casual competitive audience. I know Premiere is not possible with the client right now, but that would be my dream. But just in general, focus on delivering that premium 5v5 competitive experience that we all fell in love with in the first place. Second, we got to find a way to buck the viewership trend. When things are trending downward, it's always a problem. We can deal with stability. If viewership was stable year over year for North America, I don't think it would be as big of a problem. Yes, we'd still be the punching bag. We'd still be the smallest region of the four. And I do agree with Kangas when he was talking about this, that I would like to be the premier Western product, but I don't think that's a reasonable expectation in the next 5 years, give or take. So I would just say stable viewership to the point where nobody's losing their job. We're not worried about downsizing any further than we already are. The future is not bleak, and there's not this like constant doom and gloom outlook that continuously props itself up when you start thinking through the money and the viewership side of things. And third is that I want to see community growth and cultivation in person specifically. I want to get back to this feeling where it's like, you have events in your area, or it doesn't feel as isolating to a certain extent to enjoy NA League. One of the things that like really got me into all of this in the first place, especially on the esports front, was like the sense of community that came with originally joining like TSM fandom and knowing that there are like hundreds of other people to continue conversations and like see the kind of excitement around things. And I'm not saying that like stabilized viewership leads to excitement necessarily, but I just want the passion to flow through in the way that it kind of used to. And I think it's just, I don't know if it's the new era of fandom that has come in alongside of things that feels a little bit more like individual player focused. And like, I know Neyman's doing a great job on that front. So I think that is like a driving force of this. But I need team fandom to come back in some sort of meaningful way. And I know it's hard for a lot of people to connect with teams, but the team rivalries make so much for me. And I don't feel like we've had a consistent one. Like, we're always wondering, like, oh, is FlyQuest versus TL the new rivalry? It's like, well, not really. There's not really that hatred between the orgs. Is 100 Thieves versus TL that new rivalry? Yes, the games are amazing, but, like, org-wide, it's not there. Everybody's kind of friends with each other, so it makes it difficult. I need a bad blood rivalry. I need that sense of, like, community, like, pitting against itself, but obviously in a good way that helps grow entertainment value or viewership. That's what I want to see. When that comes back, and you'll know that feeling the second it's there, that's to me when North America has been saved, regardless of how many people are doing it. I just want to see it more often. Anyways, that's this week's episode of The Pit. I hope you enjoyed it. We are back in the best of threes. I'm really excited for the FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves game, which will be on tomorrow. We'll be watching it at Brookland here in New York City. If you're able to, come swing by and watch it with all of us. I want to chirp and yak some shit against FlyQuest fans, but I can only do that if FlyQuest fans actually show up. So don't be a wimp. And I'll see you there. Bye-bye.